Welcome to the Necronama.com, where we're spending all of October looking at 31 episodes of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. Today, we're looking at Treehouse 17 from November 5th, 2006. I am James Sabata.
I'm Don Guillory.
And I'm Thomas Brungardt.
And we are over halfway through the month of October.
Number 17.
Oh boy. I think we started...
What's the opening on this one?
Burns is a crypt keeper.
Yeah, I love this opening. Love this opening. I mean, because I'm a huge Tales from the Crypt fan. It worked for me. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I thought it was simple. I thought they didn't overthink it, and it wasn't too long as some of them can be. And the animation was cool. Like, he really looked like the Crypt Keeper.
I just hate that it took him this long. I mean, you're 17 episodes in, or 17 Halloween Treehouse of Horrors in, and you finally do this one. Like, it would have been really cool for them to do other iconic horror intros,
like Jason talking.
Ugh.
It would have been cool. Like you're seeing it's a POV is Jason slashing the Simpsons, and then he sits down on the couch. You know, that would have been a cool one for them to do.
That would have been all right.
Well, never mind. I take it back. I thought or them having a dream and it's Freddy killing all of them. You know, but then again, they do that as an episode with Willie.
You know what I thought would have been better? Do you remember the older ones? I know we just watched them, but there's ones where like Bart or somebody is like the one where he's in the museum and he's presenting each segment.
Yes.
I thought that would have been good to have Burns like present each segment as a tale from the crypt, you know? But
that would have been good.
It would have tied it all together, but they didn't do that.
That would have involved them putting any effort in and knowing their source material. So
all right, kick it off, James.
So Married to the Blob. We have Homer and Marge trying to make out in the backyard. As always, Marge comes up with a reason not to make out because a meteor falls into the backyard and Homer sucks some green goo off of it. I wouldn't make out with him either. I mean, just normally, and then you add the green goo. So then basically he I don't even fucking know how to explain this. So he ends up like eating everything. Like he's eating Snowball and he just becomes overly obese, starts wearing Hawaiian shirts. You know, I mean, it's a very crazy time. But the best part is Thomas will be excited because Ned Flanders gets decapitated. Then Dr. Phil shows up for some fucking reason. And Homer vows to put his problems to a better, brighter use. And at the end, Mayor Quimby opens a new homeless shelter. And as they usher homeless men in, they find out that Homer's eating them.
Yeah. I wrote that he has an insatiable hunger. That's how I described it.
I'm going to pretend I said that.
That's what the goo gives him, right? Just this need to eat.
I had some goo once. Maybe that's my problem. Marge won't make out with me.
This episode remind me of where we were in 2006 when this came out, because Dr. Phil was on some, which again, I hate Dr. Phil. He is one of the worst creations of Oprah next to Dr. Oz. But Dr. Phil started pushing these diets. He had a diet line, like books and food and stuff like that. And I remember him being interviewed and somebody said, "What makes you the expert on diet?" And basically did the whole, "Have you seen a mirror type look at them?" Right? At Dr. Phil. They made Dr. Phil look a little bit more in shape in the cartoon than he was when he was hawking all of his diet stuff.
Right? Like I felt like he had some sort of say in how he got to look.
Yeah. Homer, what you need to do is you need to eat. You don't need to eat your feelings. And I'm just like, just no. Like this was one of those things that they added in. It was a celebrity cameo that made no sense other than giving him psychological advice. I would have much rather had Richard Simmons in this, and then Richard Simmons gets eaten. It's like, Homer, you need to exercise, and you see a scene with Homer where it's just him in the Hawaiian shirt and the really small shorts trying to keep up with Richard Simmons. Like, there's so many different ways they could have gone with this.
Yeah, and then Smithers could yell like, "He's inside of another man," like.
Well, I just wanted to say that I agree that Dr. Phil and that show The Doctors with Dr. Oz, they're all terrible. But I think the worst thing that Oprah's ever created was that girls' school in South Africa.
Oh my God.
I don't want to gloss that. I don't want somebody to listen and be like, what about that girls' school where all those girls got assaulted?
I completely forgot about that. Yes. That
and the guy who wrote A Million Little Pieces.
Well, she didn't create him. She just gave him a platform.
Well,
she created the other ones.
That's true.
No one knew who the hell they were.
During this bit, I wanted to turn the TV off when they got to that god-awful Sir Mix-a-Lot parody.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this? This is terrible. I hated it. I hated it so much. Like, I can... Just parody songs in general make me cringe. But when it's so specific and so campy like this was, it was just so out of place.
You're not a Weird Al fan?
No, I enjoy... That's the thing. It's like Weird Al has a time and place. Not randomly in a treehouse of horror. Like, Weird Al has been on The Simpsons, and it's been an effective use of his talents. But when you have a bunch of like nerds in a room in LA trying to write a Sir Mix-a-Lot parody, it doesn't pan out the right way.
I know I really enjoyed his cameo in Bill and Ted Face the Music, so.
Well, I haven't seen that yet.
Don't worry, it's a joke that's only funny to people know that he's in it for like 3 frames. So anyway.
Wait. We can't ignore the Oktoberfest moment though. Because I love any time that you can poke fun at nothing against Germans, but anytime you can poke fun at history, and history that involves Germans. Because when Homer sees Oktoberfest, he's like, "Oh, beer battered Germans," and he goes and eats them, and 2 of the Germans that he eats are in his belly, like, "What? Why is this happening? What did we ever do?" Oh, right.
Yeah.
I love those jokes because it's kind of like, yeah, we did this shit back then.
But, I mean, like the last episode where I was half offended by that Korean joke, I was half offended by this German joke because I'm also half German. And it's a lazy German joke that everybody makes. Like, oh, what have we ever done to people? Oh, yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah, but it's funny at that moment because it's one of those things of has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, I think it's a learning moment, especially for like a 10-year-old watching and they look to their parents and they're like, what does that mean? And then that parent has to explain the Holocaust to them.
Well, a long time ago.
Should we move on to while we're on the subject of Jewish people, should we move on to Act 2? I was going to say
that's a perfect segue.
Right? Go for it.
So Act 2 is you got to know when to Golem, or Gollum? Gollum is from Lord of the Rings. I think it's Golem, right? I'm not up on my Yiddish.
It's that half German in you?
I'm the wrong person to do this one. Anyway, so there's this golem that Bart finds, and it's this, I think Lisa describes him as a mystical Jewish monster. And it's just this big, man-made Jewish guy who does Bart's dirty work for him. And he's been doing dirty work for people for centuries. And it's voiced by Richard Lewis, who many of you may know from Curb Your Enthusiasm or his stand-up or like Robin Hood Men in Tights, which is a fun movie. And he's tired of killing these people and doing bad things, and he just wants to settle down. So they make him a woman out of Play-Doh, and it's fucking Fran Drescher, and they fall in love, and it's another thing that the Simpsons are way in over their heads about, and then it ends. I guess there's a lot of morality issues going on here, and what you would ask of somebody to do for you who doesn't have the wherewithal or the ability to say no.
I always think of Chief Woodenhead when I watch this one. Now, I mean, it's different circumstances because Chief Woodenhead is out to get vengeance. Even and the golem is being used for vengeance for a lot of things, which is awesome because Krusty's telling the story about the 16th century or 17th century, and he has a Winchester repeating rifle that he's dispatching of all the guys that are going to do harm, which is great.
Which wouldn't have existed then.
Exactly.
You got to adapt.
Maybe he came from the future and went back. And
whoa,
oh, that's a different thing. But I don't know. This one it doesn't work for me on a bunch of different levels. But there's some cool things that they kind of draw from other myths, other stories, other movies where it's all about, I guess, settling this person or at least trying to find some peace or balance. And so the idea is to build a Play-Doh wife. It has some different things going on there. But there's really nothing else that I really got from this. I couldn't even think of what I would get my golem to do.
Really?
I mean, nothing that I would admit on a podcast that could later be used.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, that's better.
That could be later used in trial.
I like that Lisa, like, this is so in character with Lisa. That's what I like about it. Lisa's the one that writes speak on the paper and gives it to the golem so that he can, or golem or whatever you said. And then then he's able to express his feelings. And I really liked that because that's so ingrained in who Lisa is. So she's definitely the right choice for that. I also liked that it didn't instantly solve the problem. Like, it still had to do whatever else it was forced to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I liked that. I love the when the superintendent is yelling at Skinner to die already. That was pretty great. Overall, I like this one. I detest Fran Drescher's voice, so that was a negative for me. But, outside of that, I like this one a lot.
All right, well, let's jump to the next one then. The Day the Earth Looks Stupid, which I found some trivia on it, so I'll wait until we're discussing it to get into the trivia. But basically, this is...
Way to tease us.
I know, right? I'm a big tease. But basically, this one is Springfield dealing with Orson Welles' reading of War of the Worlds, the radio broadcast of it. And mass panic ensues because they think it's real, and then they find out that it's not real, and then Kang and Kodos decide to attack and invade Earth, and a bunch of shit gets destroyed.
So, those damn Mars cylinders.
Yeah. This part of the episode I liked because it gets me mad again, and that I also like the idea that when a TV show is using its platform to talk shit about foreign policy or government or whatever else is going on, or the idea that you can just go into whatever fucking country you want to and kill people indiscriminately and then make this argument like, I don't understand why they don't like us.
Operation Enduring Occupation.
Yeah. And the trivia that I had, or at least the stuff that had gotten cut, Kang and Kodos were supposed to make a direct, which I already saw this as being a direct reference to Iraq, and then saying like, this basically comparing 1938 Springfield to Iraq and saying that they look the same or they can't tell the difference. The producers cut it and went with the subtle lines that you have in that part of the episode, which again I think subtle works, direct would have worked, because this was still that period of, what did I say we were at, 2006. This is still that period. It's 3.5 years after Iraq, and it's way after the whole what was it called? The Mission Accomplished shit and the summer surge and all this other stuff that was going on. And we've already had that time to analyze, well, not just analyze, but actually delve deep into all the bullshit lies that we were told during that period. Like the weapons of mass destruction thing, which then became, we're here to spread democracy. Then it was regime, it was all these different things that became the new reason to be there. And I love how they played off this whole idea that this is how we're going to win Springfield over, using the same logic that George Bush and the rest of his cabinet or his administration were using. What did you guys think about this one?
Well, that's a perspective I didn't even consider, and I appreciate that you brought it up, because for me, I was just looking at the comparisons to, all the Wells stuff, and the subject matter of, the Day the Earth Stood Still, or War of the Worlds, and I enjoyed the Citizen Kane references, but what you brought up is so much deeper, and I don't think I was old enough at the time. I was close to exiting high school at this point to have appreciated everything that was going on with that administration and going on overseas. So, I think I'll have to rewatch this one just so I can watch it from that point of view.
You didn't know what was going on. I was dumb enough to join the army at that time.
Looks like I'm the only winner here.
Well, you know what? I did get into the Naval Academy, but my mom told me I couldn't go.
Okay.
That's a whole lot better than the other story that people tell, which is, I wanted to go, but I just didn't.
I wanted to go, but not as much as I didn't.
Well, here's some other cool things about this episode, or this part of the episode, is that they go with what had been the popular or the accepted myth about War of the Worlds, a War of the Worlds broadcast, which was, it tricked so many people, and it caused mass hysteria and panic and murders and riots and all this other stuff. None of that stuff happened. I mean, maybe small incidents between people may have happened where they weren't paying attention that, hey, this is a radio program. We're going to be airing War of the Worlds, read by Orson Welles. Because they announced what it was, and they announced it well before it was going to be on the air, that was going to be part of the programming. But we've kind of all accepted that myth that this is what it was. People freaked out, people hid out in their storm shelters, and waited for the Martians to land and things like that. But I love how their tactic of dealing with it involves, well, the aliens are attacking humans. So if we convince them that we're not humans, they won't attack us, and they get naked in the mud.
As one does. I just like how that's what they're doing when they get told by Lisa, a small child, that this wasn't happening.
Right.
I love that it's a bunch of adults rolling around naked, and this 8-year-old walks up and she's like, "Hey, not real." I like that. I like that it leads to an actual invasion. It's such a great distraction plan, Mm-hmm. It's we got the Earth to panic, then we got them to understand this is all fake. This is when we make our move. It's pretty brilliant. Way smarter than their usual plans.
You know what I didn't like about this episode, or about this specific bit, is that anything set in the 1930s, this was set in 1938, mm-hmm. They always use the song "I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire," be it from a nuclear attack or just anything where something has burned down. It comes up so often in pop culture, in video games like Fallout, and I just think it's overdone. It's not as clever as they want it to be. I don't think it has the weight they think it has, at least to me.
Well, they could play Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire."
I would love that. Any song that has the word fire in it. Let's try them out.
So my favorite parts of this one are both towards the beginning. The first one is at the convenience store, and the lottery jackpot is $18. I really appreciated that. And then when Grandpa keeps talking about how he fought in the First World War, and I think
why do you keep calling it the First World War?
Yeah, was it Lenny that says that?
See.
I love that. Why do you keep calling it that? I love that. That was great. So we all just take it for granted. Like, that's just how we refer to it, you know? Anybody got anything else?
No, I'm good
on that.
So this was when King and Kodos won, and the Simpsons were gone forever after that. Sad. Oh, wait, no.
Womp, womp.
We'll be back tomorrow with an episode that kicks off with King and Kodos starting a war to take over humanity. See you then.
This concludes another episode of the Necronama.com with James Sabata, Don Guillory, and Thomas Sexbot Brungardt.